speech lasting 5 to 7 minutes. Please welcome Ted and the world of Zillow.
Thank you. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. And tonight I'm going to talk to you about the world of Zillow. As some of you know, and some of you may not know, I'm a real estate appraiser. And usually when I meet people for the first time, and they find out, I'm a real estate appraiser, the first thing they ask me is, hey, what about Zillow? And those real estate values on Zillow, are they accurate? So, what I'm going to do tonight is tell you what your mom and dad didn't tell you about appraisals. And hopefully we'll go through the presentation with a minimum of technical glitches. Oops, there's the first glitch. But that's all right. Plan 2. There it is. Zillow. Some of you might not know what Zillow is, and let me explain to you what it is. Zillow is, I hope everybody is now hooked up to computers in the 21st century, but Zillow is an online real estate program. It's called an automated value, AVM, an automated value model. And it's online, it's free to use. It's www.zillow.com. And if you go to their website, this is what you'll find, a screen like this. And you can look for properties that are for sale. You can look for properties for rent, pre-market. Actually, I don't know what that means. And you can go to the Z-estimate, what they call the Z-estimate. And that's what people do when they're interested. If you're interested, how many of you own property? Raise your hand. So you can, if you're on the computer, you can go to www.zillow.com and type in your address, and it'll come up with an estimate of what your property is worth. And that's how you use it. It's very simple to use, really, and user-friendly. But the big question is it accurate? Here's a property. So this is an example. I'm quite familiar with this property here. This is 1335 Southwest Isham Street in Grants Pass. And the property sold May 21st for $107,000. Well, but you see right down below here where I have it circled in red, the Z estimate is $95,854. So that's more than a 10% difference, which is kind of significant. And so who's right? Did the person to buy it pay too much, or is the Z estimate wrong? So the way that automated valuation models work is they have what they call an algorithm, which is a series of mathematical formulas that they put in the data, and then the data it'll process the data and come up with the value. And Zillow won't. It's proprietary information. They won't tell you exactly how their model works, but I can pretty much tell you that probably they put in all the 2-bedroom sales, maybe in Grants Pass, maybe in the southwest part of town, and then they do regression analysis on it probably, and then it spits out a value. And in some instances that can be accurate, but with real estate there's so many different variables that a lot of times it won't be accurate. Take for instance this property here. It's 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, so surely Zillow compared it to other 2-bedroom, 1-bath homes in that section of the town and came up with this value here. The problem is, if you look down here, this site is 0.39 acres, which is, I don't have my calculator, but I think it's about 17,000 square feet, which is larger than typical for the area. Most lots are between 5,000 to 7,000 square feet. So you have a lot that's nearly twice as big as a lot of the other lots. So no mathematical formula is really going to. They could program a model that would consider the lot size too, but I doubt very much whether they did. And on top of that, not only is the lot large, it's zoned R2. So that means that, and Zillow doesn't consider things like zoning. So you have a large lot where you can build another house on it. And this particular property, when it sold, it came on the market, was on the market one day. There were 5 offers on the property before the sun went down that day. And it was listed for $105,000 and it sold for $110,000. So there, and I don't know the exact amount of each and every offer, but because there were multiple offers, probably all the offers were above the asking price. And the accepted offer was $110,000. So you can be pretty sure that, you know, that the values are based on what a buyer is willing to pay for something. So if you have 5 buyers that are willing to pay more than $105,000 for the property, how could it be worth $95,000? So to answer the question, Zillow oftentimes is not very accurate. In some cases, let me put it this way. If you have a tract house in a very conforming area where, you know, all the houses are 3-bedroom ranch style houses, it may get a pretty accurate value. But if your house is unusual in any way, if it has it's in a non-conforming area where the properties there's a wide disparity in the properties, then Zillow is probably not going to be very accurate. However, it is accurate. It does have some uses. This here is a trend. For those of you that are interested, Zillow not only has specific properties, it'll show you trends in an area. And this shows here, this is this shows you the home and 97526 and Grants Pass. And you can see the market peaked about, that's early 2006. And for all that time, the market was going down. But if you'll see right here, I put a trend line in here, August 2012, the market started going back up. And Zillow, at least that's what Zillow says. And you can see, let me go on to the next slide here. You can see this is the most, well, let me go back up. At that time, on August 2012, in this zip code, the average selling price was $143. And that was August 2012. And the most recent data Zillow has, they're not all completely up to date either, but the most recent data they have was from May, and the prices increased from 143 up to 152. So it's clearly the market, according to Zillow, is going up. But is it? Patricia will like this, I think. Daily Courier. Daily Courier. Big surge in county housing prices. I won't go through the whole article, but if you see right here, it says Josephine County, urban. And this urban area would include all 97526, part of 97257. And the urban prices, they say the average price April 1st through June 30th, so that would be the median price as of June 30th. In 2012, it was $143,450, but by June 30th of 2013, it increased to $164,000. And their data did not come from Zillow, it came from the multiple listing service. I'm not going to worry too much about time tonight. Here's the rate of appreciation for Zillow. If you looked at the charts, the market bottom was August 1st, 2012, 143,000 for that zip code. And the most current information they have is 152,000. That's a $9,000 increase. So as a percent change, that's 6.3% over 9 months, which is 0.7% appreciation per month, according to Zillow. However, here's the numbers from the blew them up a little bit from the Courier headlines. There's their numbers, and if you break that down into the rate of appreciation, it's a little bit different. They have from June 12th to June of 2012 to June of 2013, they have a 14.3% increase, which is over 12 months. So they have a rate of appreciation of 1.19%. So the rates of appreciation are not the same for the mostly the same area. One is 0.7%, and one is 1.19%. And so I would tend to think that probably the Courier is information from the MLS is more accurate, but there's just a range. That's one of the things you do when you look into real estate a lot. The best you ever do is get a range. So the market's clearly going up, and is it 0.7% or is it 1.19%? I don't know. If I was doing appraisals, I'd probably just say it's going up 1% a month and be done with it. So Zillow does have its uses. You could go and look at an area and say, I wouldn't necessarily rely upon the value for a particular house, but their trending is pretty good, I think. Here's a side-by-side comparison of the same information. As you can see, the rate of appreciation is in the same area. Zillow 0.7%, and MLS 1.19%. So my conclusion: don't sell your house based on Zillow. And that concludes it. Does anybody have any questions they'd like me to address? Yes? Yes? No questions? Boy. Oh.
Well, we've been looking at a lot of homes since we've been up here.
Yes.
And we talk about zoning. And Grants passes, a lot of areas are kind of challenged in that regard. I just can ask you, it must be hard to be an appraiser here, because the fact that you'll have some older homes, and you'll have some manufactured homes, and you'll have sort of mixed
yeah. It's harder here than it is in the big city. In the big city, you go out and if you're in Los Angeles, where I'm from, you go out in the suburbs and they have big tracts that they built post World War II. Where they built thousands of cookie cutter homes that are all the same. And so, yeah, obviously it's a lot easier to appraise them than it is here. And there's a much more a wider variety here. In fact, a lot of the appraisers that appraise in the big city, if they come up here and they've never appraised a manufactured home, which used to be 1/7 of the market up here. So yeah, it can be challenging at times, but that's life.
What kind of education do you have to get to become an appraiser? So I'm curious.
When I became an appraiser, it was pre-licensing. The licensing came about as a result of the savings and loan crisis, and so they decided, that was the late 80s, so they decided they were going to, and part of it was based on bad appraisals, so they decided they were going to institute licensing in 1992. But they made the requirements to get in at that time were, and I'd already been doing it for about 7 years. I learned on the job. The way I learned to appraise is I just tagged along behind another experienced appraiser and asked them questions. That's how I learned. So, but the requirements were pretty minimal because they didn't when they put the licensing requirements, they wanted to grandfather all these people in. So you had to have, I believe the requirements were like 2 basically college level courses and 2 years experience to be licensed and pass a test. That's what it is. But over the years that they've been increasing the requirements. So right now, to be an appraiser, you have to have at least an AA degree, and they're upping the requirements. I believe it's 2015. You'll have to have at least a BA degree, which whether that's good or not, but that's it. And there you would find I think you would find a lot of the old time appraisers that the intent of the licensing was to make the profession better. But I think a lot of the old time appraisers pre-licensing, they belonged to private organizations like the Appraisal Institute, and a lot of those guys, if you talk to them, they would say that licensing made the profession worse, not better. It made it because before they had what they call designations, and the educational requirements to get designations are tremendous. So, that's it. Guess I answered that. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't.
No, you did, thank you.
Anything else you want to know? Standing up here about real estate appraising? Because I wonder what we're going to do for the next 14 minutes.
Evaluations.
Huh?
We have evaluations.
Oh, evaluations, that's right. Well, shame on me, I talked way too long.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's always amazing to me to listen to a speech given by someone who obviously knows a lot about their subject. Thank you very much, Ted, for presenting that.
You're welcome.
And now,